I sat too close? Identity.
Crisis.
Who am I? Sorry, I had to.
How do podcast?
So charismatic.
24601.
Do you fish?
What? Should I be inhaling this?
Anyway, let's crack on. Hello and welcome to Uphill From Here.
This is Catherine.
And this is Amy. And we're back.
Again. We always say
Again. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. We hope you had a lovely Christmas and New Year, whatever you're doing. Yeah, back in lockdown 3.0. Really fun. But New Year.
Not new us. Same us.
Same old us, but new episodes. And we're really excited to get back to it.
New guests, new episodes, new year. Lego.
So, Catherine, what is our word of the week this week? First one of the new year. What is it?
First one of the new year is identity.
Yeah. So, identity. Great one. Bit of an existential one. Why not?
But I think appropriate for January, because January is the month of like new year, new me.
That's true.
And I think it's when we do start to question our identity and who we are. So I think it's quite a good one for the first episode of 2021.
Anyway, who's first?
I can't even remember the last time we recorded.
Okay. Catherine's written, Dear Internet Society, stop telling everyone who they should be. Stop telling everyone what they should be doing. It is physically impossible for everyone to do yoga, a full workout, meditation, go for a walk, journaling all of their feelings, changing their whole diet, learning about manifestation, and living off a juice diet all in 24 hours. Give people some space. Let people live their lives. For some people, these things are not enjoyable, and that's okay. Society, stop telling people how to live. Love, Cat.
Very short.
But sweet.
Very short, but sweet.
No, I think you got the point. Like, how do you think the internet like puts that pressure on people to be a certain person or to be a certain way? Like, how has it come to that?
I think I look at it in terms of kind of the people that aren't influenced by the internet. So, you know, when we think about our parents, like when our parents were living their lives, they didn't have the internet telling them they should be doing this or should be doing that, or this will change their lives, or they need to sort this out, or they need to change this. And I feel like this whole idea of like personal growth, everyone is trying to do it all at the same time. And I think the internet exacerbates that, because it goes, here's a thing, here's a thing, here's a thing, here's a thing, here's a thing in a really short amount of time. And your brain takes all of those things on and goes, well, I need to do all of those things. So then you're in a mindset that you need to do all of those things now.
Yeah.
And I think the internet has kind of exacerbated this idea of like immediacy. Like, I have to do it and I have to do it now. I have to be there and I have to be there now. Like, it's this idea of like constantly needing something immediately. I think the internet and social media has kind of created that mindset in a lot of people, because we can so easily have everything now. Everything is so readily accessible. So I think when I do think about how social media has done that, I look at the people who aren't affected by that and how they lived and still continue to live their lives.
But do you think having, like, I don't know, let's call it influencers, people to like look up to online, do you think that's necessarily a bad thing?
Not always.
Aspiration, like see like what you want to be.
And I don't think it's a negative always, but I also think it is quite a large negative in a lot of ways. Because what we all have to remember is that we are all different, and we're all then influenced by all these people who are very different to us. And then when we don't get the thing or do the thing that they've done, we're a failure. it's a constant thing. It's like constantly being plagued with this idea of everything that you want, but not being there yet. So I think it's kind of like, it is a positive because we have created this community. And I mean, our community is amazing. Our community creates this idea of like positivity, and all of the people that we follow and all of our guests are always like, please don't feel the pressure. Stop putting pressure on yourself. Enjoy life for what it is. Enjoy who you are for who you are. But I do feel like there is a large portion of the internet who feel like they're spreading positivity, which a lot of the time they are, but they are also giving this negative thing of like, look at all the amazing things I've done that you've not done yet. So you get this sensation of like failure when you're looking at those things as well.
Yeah, and I think in like, if you're like perpetuating that like perfect life online and you're not showing any flaws and you're not admitting that you struggle, you're just showing this perfect version of you, it's kind of just instilling this inferiority into other people. Will they think that I'm not like that? That person isn't like that either. That's almost like a false character that person has put online.
Yeah, I remember when everybody was kind of doing their recap of 2020, their highlights of 2020, I saw so many things that were written by people that said, don't compare your day to day to other people's highlight reels. The same as people don't have the same picture of what our life is like every day. You know, we are kind of sitting here, we've done our makeup, like we've made an effort, we've curled our hair. But I mean, we always make the joke when we review the episode, this is not what we look like.
Obviously, like social media can be like great to like find what you want to aspire to, but it can also be detrimental when you're trying to compare yourself and you don't feel good enough. But I just wonder, like, in what way social media can be like a positive platform to create an identity like for yourself and your brand.
I think it's amazing to be able to kind of share your art and your passion. And I think that social media can create a really positive community in that way of helping people to find their passions and to find the things that help them grow. But again, when somebody is being overwhelmed with all those things, it can then become a negative because there's too much to take on, rather than just kind of finding that one thing that you want to do. So I always feel like it's a bit of a catch-22.
Yeah, because you can kind of like be who you want to be online and you're free to express yourself, but then you're also free to explore what other people are doing,
what everybody else is doing,
and that can be inspiring, but it can be detrimental as well.
Yeah,
you need to focus on like what you're doing, just being your best self. And that might be picking up behaviors from other people and learning from them, but it might just be finding your own way of growing, like you said.
If it does bog you down, then stop and take a break from it, because it's not worth the hassle and it's not worth the upset or overwhelmed sensation that you can get from that and that can be caused by that.
And I think you need to remember, like you say, take a break. Like, you are still a human being if you're not online. You're still alive, but you're just not active on Facebook. You're not active. You're not tweeting. You're not posting pictures. You're still you. You're still a person. You don't need to prove to everyone else this is who I am, this is what I'm doing, because you're existing right now.
You still exist outside of social media. Social media doesn't create your identity.
Exactly.
I think that's what's really important.
Love that.
And don't just create your identity for social media.
Yeah, know who you are right now. Like, be a person.
In this moment, like, know who you are, because if you're trying to create your identity for social media, then you don't actually know who that person is. Rumi has said, to anyone facing the existential question, who am I? Don't worry too much about it. Many people spend their entire lives trying to figure out the answer to that question rather than just living and being that precise thing. You are a complex, multifaceted living thing with a wide and ever-changing combination of qualities. For example, I am, by profession, a stage manager. I have also been a youth mentor, a beauty consultant, a student, a child. I've been happy and sad and confident and lost. I've been a friend, a daughter, a shoulder to cry on. Right now, I'm a writer, a creator, a podcaster, unemployed and hopeful. What I am trying to say is that you aren't ever one fixed thing. To try and narrow yourself down to one singular word is to do yourself a disservice. Be proud of who you are, acknowledge all those parts of yourself that have led you to this exact moment, and don't be afraid to change, to grow, become more. Love, Amy. love that.
I don't know who I think I am, like Gandalf.
I really like that. I want to talk more about this idea of like you are not that one fixed thing. What about the word identity made you think that? What do you feel like there is a pressure to label yourself as things, to put yourself in categories, in boxes? Do you think that's a thing in our society?
Yeah, and like that's how our brains understand things, is by having biases in a way, is putting people in boxes, because that's how we understand the world. And I think now, as we're becoming more aware and more self-aware, like, and acknowledging that there are more labels than we thought, and some people don't want to be labeled, it's sometimes overwhelming and difficult for our brains to comprehend. But we just have to kind of go with the fact that, like, things can change and things are in a state of flux, and you just kind of have to roll with it. I think especially in the last maybe like 5-10 years, like, labels have become a huge thing, because people are, and I don't think I think people sometimes think labels are a bad thing, but it's a way of understanding. So it's a way of understanding, like, gender identity and sexuality, and understanding, like, your background and where you come from, and understanding like who you are in this world. So sometimes people like that label because it confirms them in a community, or it confirms them as a person, and they know who they are, and they think, I am this. But I think it's important to realize that those things can change, that meanings can change as well.
Yeah.
But I don't always think labels are a bad thing. I think you can have lots of them. And I think the whole, like, don't label me kind of phase is kind of over. People are happy to be like, yeah, I'm this, and I'm this. Like, I've chosen that, rather than you put that on. I think that's the main
on you.
Yeah,
I like that. Just like reading your letter made me remember that poem that you wrote for me for my birthday, where it was like you wrote all of the things that I was or I am.
Yeah.
And that list was endless. You know, each stanza was a different part of me. And it was like that there is a friend telling a friend how they see them. And it is labels, but it's all these things that are kind of like, that's what makes you you. You know, and it's like you say, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It just kind of gives people that like you say, it gives people their identity to be able to find labels and things, be able to find names for things.
And I think it's nice when, like, a friend or a colleague or someone recognizes qualities in you that maybe you didn't. So like, I might have described you as really strong and kind and understanding, and perhaps you didn't see those qualities. So, like, the way I see you, the way someone sees you, and the way you view yourself are sometimes really different. And I think that's when you really start to love yourself, is when you can validate those qualities yourself, rather than have to find those labels from elsewhere. I think that's really important. Like, I am strong, and I am clever, and I am kind. Like, that's who I am, and own it. You don't need to tell you that you are. It's who you are.
Definitely. And do you think for some people, so obviously we talk about labels in terms of like sexuality and gender and stuff, but also I think those labels can kind of come in with things like mental health, where people are given a name for the thing that they feel. And, you know, I was going to kind of add like a devil's advocate question of, do you sometimes think identifying with those things can sometimes be a negative, because you kind of base your whole identity on that thing? Do you think that can happen?
I think it makes it more real. I think someone can feel something their whole life, like a mental condition, mental disorder, and not know what it is. And then there's more research and more awareness, and somebody goes, well, actually, that's this, and that's what it's called. And in a way, it validates how you've been feeling, but it also creates this thing where it's like, oh, it's a thing now. It's got a name. It's not like benign. It's real, and it's here, and it's this big thing.
What would be your advice for people who are worrying about not knowing who they are?
I mean, the first line of the letter, like, don't worry too much. But, like, it's so existential. You think, who am I? What's my purpose in life? What am I doing here? Especially like in your 20s, when you perhaps gone through education or starting a career, family. You're figuring out like who you are and what you want to do. It's scary, but you're doing it. Like, you are this person right now, and you figure that out by challenging yourself and by meeting new people and trying new things, and you're discovering yourself, and that's not going to happen overnight. It's a process.
Yeah.
And, it's important just to acknowledge those things. Sometimes you are scared, and sometimes you are weak, and sometimes you are, I don't know, jealous. It's important to recognize bad qualities too, because they still make up who you are, and there's a reason for them, and they're there. Like, obviously me being a little bit down recently, I think that's probably a lot of people are feeling it right now, but I don't think it's a bad thing. I think feeling sad, I feel like because I'm not working in theatre right now, I'm missing a huge part of who I am. But in missing that and feeling sad and not being able to do my job, I recognise how important that is to me, because it makes me so sad that I can't do it. And it's with like people realising they really love going out and socialising, or really love going and teaching that class. They recognised in missing that thing that that's an important part of themselves. So when we get it back, we're like, this is who I am. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I can't wait for that feeling once this is all over. Be back in the theatre, back with friends, being like, this is me. This is life. This is where I'm supposed to be. So I think that brings us swiftly on to our guest this week. Catherine, do you want to introduce them?
Our guest this week is Katie. She's from the page at Hey It Gets Better on Instagram. She's absolutely wonderful. She posts a lot of things about positivity and about positive choices and kind of getting through difficult things that you're trying to work out. She's really great content creator. You should absolutely follow her. A lot of her things are just so empowering, so uplifting. And she's here to talk this week about what identity means to her.
Dear Kat and Amy, I'm going to tell you a little bit about identity and what it means to me. Identity is who you are, but something that I never really understood properly until I was in my 20s is that your identity is going to change a lot. It's going to change because you're going to see new parts of the world, you're going to meet new people, you'll have new conversations and learn new things, you'll find new passions, new hobbies, new dislikes, and do you know what? That is totally okay, because that's a sign you're growing, and you're growing as a person. The most important thing is to remember that your identity is who you are. So it should be up to you what your identity is. And yes, it's going to be hard when you meet people who don't agree with who you identify as, or they liked it who you were 5 years ago. But I promise you, if you stay true to what you're passionate about, what you love, what you care about, and you open yourself up to new parts of the world, you'll continue growing. Your identity may change, but I think that's how you're happy with your identity. You just have to be true to yourself.
I feel like that's kind of a nice video to have after us both speaking about what it meant to us, like to kind of have that all accumulated by Katie sort of is quite nice, I think. Yeah, I really identified with it when she kind of said that you're going to change a lot from like throughout your 20s. I think from sort of the age of 18 onwards, your identity starts to become quite a big thing, and even sort of 4 years on from that, it's still changing.
I feel like it's so prominent in your 20s when you're like figuring your life out. I know your teenage years are important, but like we talked about before, like I feel a very different person now than when I was 16. Like I was a girl then, and I feel like a woman now.
I'm a woman now.
You do, like in your 20s, you do, like there's so many things you could be. Like I'm seeing people now that I went to school with, are mothers and their wives, and they're engaged, and they're still studying. They're going to be doctors.
Yeah.
Like, and nobody knows what's the normal. Some people still feel like they're about 16. Some people still feel like a kid, and they don't know.
Me.
And it's like she said, you've got to stay true to you. You can't worry about what everyone else is and who they do. You don't need to fit into those boxes in your 20s. You just You gotta do it for
And
you.
I think as well, like, I find that really quite prominent because a lot of times I've been kind of told who I am and what I should and shouldn't do and what I can and can't do and what's not for me. And it's like, I think, you know, starting in my job that I'm doing now, I've sort of realised actually a lot of that stuff was bullshit because I never saw myself in a role like this. But I'm being told by people who I work with that I'm doing a really, really good job. And it's like, oh, okay. So I decided to take this job on a whim as a risk, like it was a risk for me to take this job. And actually, I'm thriving.
Yeah.
Is this part of my identity now?
And I think the thing that I just wanted to touch on, like, you own your identity. It's what you put out to the world. It's how people interpret you and how people read you. And if you're putting out positivity, that's what people are going to read. If you're putting out, like, yeah, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I am. Or, yeah, I'm a personal trainer. Or, yeah, I'm a beautician.
Yeah.
And you own it and you know who you are. And you go out there and you're not just saying, oh, yeah, I'm just this, or I'm just training in this, or I'm just starting this, or, oh, I didn't really think I was going to be good at this. Like, you were kind of unsure.
Yeah.
I don't think this is going to be right for me. Now you're like, no, I'm a key worker and I'm doing well. And that's what I read from you. You put that out there and that's who you are. And you just, I think that's lovely. I think that's rounded off this week. That's really nice and it's given some food for thought. So yeah, we really hope you enjoyed our first episode back in 2021. If you would like to be a guest this year, we would love to hear from you. Catherine, how can they get in touch?
Please get in touch via the Instagram. We are at Uphill From Here Podcast, or via our email, which is uphillfromherepodcast@gmail.com. I've not said that in a long time and it felt like a tongue twister.
Okay, well, we will see you very soon with another episode. We love you. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye.
You want to go from the start?